Now, Vice President-elect Mike Pence went to a showing of Hamilton recently. Actually, it was on Friday. Now, after the performance, the cast of Hamilton directly addressed him in a statement. Now, they said, Vice President-elect Pence, we welcome you and we truly thank you for joining us here at Hamilton, an American musical. We really do. Well, that sounds nice. Now comes the part where people are flipping out about. Now they said, we, sir, we are the diverse America who are alarmed and anxious that your new administration will not protect us, our planet, our children, our parents, or defend us and uphold our inalienable rights, sir. But we truly hope this show has inspired you to uphold our American values and work on behalf of all of us. All of us. Okay, look. That was direct, but polite. Essentially saying, hey, please, why don't you protect all Americans like you're supposed to? After all, that is who you're supposed to represent. You're not supposed to represent only half of America. Only the people that voted for you. That's bullshit. You're supposed to represent all Americans and look out for all of them. Now, of course, the Twitter, conservative Twitter, that is not acceptable. And immediately, Hamilton should be boycotted, of course. Now, first you had a tweet from President-elect Donald Trump, who finally got control of his Twitter account back, I guess. And he said, the theater must always be a safe and special place. The cast of Hamilton was very rude last night to a very good man, Mike Pence. Apologize. I always love how he ends his tweets with a one word. Sad. Apologize. Disgrace. Love it. Look, now I read you the statement, right? Was it direct? Was it challenging? Yes. Was it rude? Not really. Not in my opinion, anyway. Now, I also have to add that the cast of Hamilton told the audience when Mike Pence was leaving, because there was some booing, hey, don't boo him. Don't boo him because we want him to listen to the message. So if you're saying if anybody was rude, then I guess you could say it was the audience that was rude for actually booing. But no, it was the cast of Hamilton that was egging them on, and they were rude, and they must apologize now. You hurt Pence's feelings. Which actually, if you heard Pence come out later on, he said, no, you didn't hurt my feelings. I wasn't offended at all. I actually listened to their message, and I didn't feel like I was being bullied. I didn't feel anything, right? I just listened to their message. In fact, he was leaving when he heard himself get called out, and so he stopped and he listened. And he was like, okay, well, yeah, there we go. Not offended. But here's the irony, right? Now, according to Donald Trump, the Broadway theater, right? That is a safe space. A safe space. But wait a minute, aren't you the guys that rail against safe spaces and trigger warnings? Apparently, Donald Trump just got triggered, as well as other conservatives. For that, I go to Twitter. Newt Gingrich tweets out, the arrogance and hostility of the Hamilton cast to the vice president-elect, a guest at the theater, is a reminder that the left still fights. Yeah, of course we're going to fight. We're not going to put up with some bullshit, right? Now, here's Newt Gingrich saying, why don't you lie down already, get on your knees, and fillet Donald Trump? I mean, that's what I did after all. Why are you doing it? Well, Newt, we don't want to fucking do it. We don't want to, suck Trump cock. Okay? What we want to do is we want to fight against him and his policies and Mike Pence's policies. Because they're actually terrible. They're not good for America. And besides, again, this wasn't rude. It was a simple plea to protect all Americans, which should be the job of Mike Pence anyway. Now, Michelle Malkin, of course, tweets out, Hamilton cast and Lib Broadway patrons displayed their tolerance for diversity by intolerantly booing Mike Pence out of a theater. Now, from that tweet, it makes it sound like it was just so bad, so intense, that Mike Pence had to leave. That he got triggered by all this booing and this intolerance that he had to leave during the performance, which that's not true. It's not true. Pence stayed throughout the entire show and basically said he enjoyed it. And of course, the statement, as I mentioned, it was read by he was leaving, and again, he was not offended. Now, and of course, Hamilton is made up from a very diverse cast. And all they were saying is, we don't think that you'll protect us. Trump, Pence, prove us wrong and actually protect us, protect minorities. Now, Laura Ingraham says, imagine if a conservative actor addressed HRC by saying, we who are Christian are scared, media would pillory them. Now, why would that be? Well, it's because you're already in power. Christians make up over 70% of the country. If they ever became a minority and were discriminated against, I would proudly defend their rights to practice their own religion. At this point, though, that's not the case. They are a majority, and there are a small minority of Christians who are working right now very, very hard, using the power that they have to crush the rights of other people. This is not the same. It is a false equivalence. Now, Joe Scarborough says, I believe that marriage is a union between a man and a woman for me as a Christian, and that he's quoting President Obama there. Now, was he booed on Broadway his first term? Now, that's interesting, because that actually took some thought and some research. Like, oh yeah, wasn't President Obama against same-sex marriage before? Got him. Yeah, well, there's a difference, though. While Obama was wrong on that, and I'm glad he came out for marriage equality later on, and you can point out the hypocrisy there and make a perfectly legitimate argument, right? But there's a difference. You see, Barack Obama and his policies, well, they didn't have those policies. He didn't have those policies that were aimed to discriminate against people that are LGBT. Again, you're making a false equivalent, Joe. I thought you were smarter than this. Apparently not. Now, finally, one of the more annoying tweets comes from Bruce Chambers. Now, he tweets in, could you imagine what would happen if Obama went to a show and was booed and harassed like the VP? Would be a racist uprising by the left. It wouldn't just be people being angry. No, but it would have to be a racist uprising. Interesting. Racist against who? Exactly. Against white people? No, look, the way racism works is that the people who control the government, who have the power, use that power to oppress minorities. That's literally racism. If you call somebody a honky or a cracker, look, cracker literally means, it refers to the sound that a slave owner in the South made when he was cracking his whip. Even that has connotations of power, i.e. the cracker has more power than the slave. Again, it's about power, right? And it's systemic. And the point that I'm trying to make with that is that racism is always disproportional. It always ends up being the powerful versus the powerless that oppresses the powerless. That's why you had other minority groups where you actually had, non-black people be slaves. Or you also had other white people be slaves and indentured servants that were actually part of a minority that was oppressed by the majority. It's power dynamics. So you can't claim racism when you're the ones that are holding all this power, this institutional power over people that are less powerful. So, I mean, there's that. Now, look, what I get from all this is that really it's pretty amazing to see so many people get triggered over something so simple, over almost nothing. And look, these people must be so insecure, so weak to have to try to demand an apology for saying something as inoffensive as, please protect us. Please protect us, do your job. I think we have a word for people that are so insensitive and get offended at very, very simple things. I think that word is cuck. Yeah, cuck. That fits. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent, non-corporate media, go to our Patreon page and become a patron. Patreon.com/TYTNation.